In 24 hours, we could find out how the state plans to follow new recommendations for rationing the first doses of the coronavirus vaccine. Pfizer and Moderna both have vaccines that could be approved for emergency use in the next few weeks.
In a 13-1 vote today, a CDC advisory panel recommended that healthcare workers and nursing home residents should be the first to get the shots when the initial doses roll out. Now it's up to health leaders in each state to decide how they'll follow those recommendations. And we'll ask our state's top health officials those questions at a briefing tomorrow afternoon.
But even if local officials embrace the CDC guidelines, the initial supply of doses may be too limited to cover everyone in the first group. KOMO's Joel Marino's live now with the long road ahead on vaccinations. Joel?
Mary and Preston, once a vaccine is approved at first, our state will only get a fraction of what is needed for even the highest priority groups. With healthcare workers and those in long-term care facilities potentially first in line for a coronavirus vaccine, Ron Fall says his mom, Dolores, may finally have a safety net at her assisted care center.
And she's 89. She has heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. She's a prime target for COVID. She needs the vaccine.
This graph shows the recent surge in infections at nursing homes where people are especially vulnerable.
40% of our deaths nationally are among residents of long-term care facilities who make up less than 1% of our population.
Dr. Jeff Duchin says putting healthcare workers at the top also makes sense since they need to care for everyone else.
We all understand what's happening with our healthcare system now, the stress it's feeling from increasing COVID hospitalizations, the increased risk to healthcare workers, and our need to ensure that they stay healthy.
A best-case scenario for vaccine distribution could start with just 62,000 doses to Washington, building to 200,000 by the end of the year. That compares with 430,000 healthcare workers statewide and 58,000 long-term care residents. So round one could come up way short.
We're going to be limited by the number of doses that are available.
1 in 5 people is food insecure right now. The impacts of COVID have forced them to rely on a food bank, and that's put a huge demand on area food banks desperate for both donations and volunteers. KOMO's Michelle Esteban is live with more on hunger in the time of COVID. Michelle?
Well, hi there, Mary. You know, I kind of put it this way. We see all these lines, right, for COVID testing. Now we're seeing lots of lines for people waiting for food. And many of them show up at these mobile food banks, and they get a load of food right in the back of their car.
We got 7.
Food Lifeline, a hunger relief organization, is starving for volunteers.
We lost 85% of our food donations. We also lost 100% of our volunteers.
And on this Giving Tuesday, volunteers are once again starting to answer the call. The local need is extraordinary. 40% of people getting food through one of Food Lifeline's 300 partner food banks are like Andrew Bowman.
One of the weirdest times I've ever experienced. This is the first time in my 40 years I've ever been to a food bank.
It's been a hard time right now these days. Not much work they used to be. So any little help actually is a big help for us.
Juan Garcia says on top of that, his 3 kids learning from home has had an impact.
There's more eating in some way at home.
Right now, 1 in 5 are facing food insecurity. And at Food Lifeline,
twice as much food going out, and it's getting larger every week.
In 2019, they served 750,000 people. So far this year, they've helped 1.4 million people. And the year's not over yet.
They come here, 1-ton bags of potatoes. We sort them off into smaller boxes so that they can get to food banks and then get into people's houses within 72 hours.
Christy Dixon is one of the volunteers giving on Giving Tuesday.
And if we can just do our little part to help take that issue off the table, feels really good when we walk out the doors.
Every county is dealing with hunger. In Snohomish County, they're feeding a spike in demand among their 55 and up population.
There has been a 216% increase in home delivered meal referrals since the beginning of COVID-19. And there are currently 18,000 meals being provided per month.
You hear about it, but you don't really see it until you're sitting there in the line and seeing everyone else just like you trying to get by.
Yeah, good evening to you as well, Nikhil. I saw on CNN, according to CNN, they said that there has been over 900,000 ballots requested, absentee ballots that is requested inside the state of Georgia. And I also reached out to the Bibb County Board of Elections just this afternoon, and they said they have received nearly 14,000 just only in Bibb County alone. Now, I did speak with Bibb County Board of Elections Chair Mike Kaplan. He says the huge number can tell anyone how important the Senate runoff election is. He says one reason more voters are going towards absentee voting versus in person is because of the holiday season and the weather. He believes not many people want to stand in long lines in the cold weather for this election. We asked Kaplan, are they looking to hire more poll workers in order to count certain absentee ballots?
That's another great question, and we think we have enough people. We processed 20,000 for the November election, which was a tremendous number, and I would think we'll probably be in the same number. And as long as we don't, get in $30,000 and $40,000 range, we'll be okay. And I think we're equipped to handle it, even if we are. We have poll workers that we've already trained, and this is the fourth time we'll be, tabulating ballots.
Now, Kaplan says to close their 3 precincts right now because so many people have registered for absentee voting. He said it's a little too early to make that call, and he does want to stress to people inside of Bibb County. He says that the last day to request an absentee ballot inside of Bibb County is January the 1st, and you must have your absentee ballot inside of either their facility or a local post office by January the 5th at 7 p.m.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Johnson from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and all of Western Washington. And don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss